Montana De La Rosa versus Mayra Bueno Silva. We got plus 115 on De La Rosa and minus 135 on Bueno Silva. Let's start off on the Bueno Silva side of things. Who's coming off a victory over Mora Romero Barella last time around, where we saw her lock up a beautiful submission victory. I believe it was by armbar, and that was after she gotten taken down by Barella. And it seems like the takedown is a bit of the kryptonite to Silva's game. Now she's only 7-1. She's only lost one time, and that was to Marina Moroz, who took a very similar approach in trying to take her down. Definitely gave away that third round as Bueno Silva was starting to come on at that point in time, but she definitely gave away those first two rounds from activity and obviously some top control from Marina Moroz. The Jillian Robertson fight, right? We saw Jillian get her down. Jillian just, got lazy for a second, and we saw Bueno Silva wrap up another submission there. So she does have several submission victories on her record, so it makes you believe that she's truly active off of her back, and she's very live for a submission no matter who the opponent is. Montana De La Rosa, on the other hand, is a solid wrestler. High school wrestling. I believe she did wrestle collegiately. I could be off on that. But in terms of the level of wrestling that she has, she's definitely one of the better women in this division to do so. Most of her victories when she is getting her hand raised comes via her getting the fight to the ground and doing some good work from there. The Nadia Kassem fight, obviously she gets a submission victory there. The Andrea Lee fight, she gets her down, I believe, 4 or 5 times, but Lee does a good job of getting right back to her feet. She has some decent get-up game for sure, unless your name is Roxanne Modafferi for some reason. Again, Mara Romero Barella, another woman that they share a common opponent with, and we saw De La Rosa get that fight down on pretty much on a round-by-round basis and control her from the top position. The Viviane Araujo fight, that one was a tough one for Montana, who took that fight on short notice. Not to mention, the style of Araujo was just a very bad matchup for De La Rosa in terms of her striking. She's very fast twitch muscle as well too, so Montana wasn't really able to track her down, corral her, and get her down. She did get her down once, but not for long. We saw Araujo get right back to her feet, stay constant with her movement, and really caused trouble for De La Rosa on the feet. It seemed like the third round that De La Rosa was like accepting of the fact that she's not going to get this woman down, so she's just going to go out there and start to strike with her. And it's weird seeing the level of confidence from De La Rosa in her hands and kind of the swagger that she was fighting with in that third round, especially with the bloody and beaten face that she was bringing to the table. But we did see her have some success with the striking, but Viviane was just too fast, a little bit too much output, and way more powerful as well too. So you definitely saw the damage on De La Rosa's face in that fight. Now you can almost make a similar comparison in terms of the Araujo fight and Bueno Silva, given the advantage that Silva will have in the striking realm in this fight. However, she's just a little bit more static though. She's a little bit more, she doesn't bounce around as much. She doesn't move as well as a Viviane. And, she's definitely more susceptible to getting taken down. And that's where I think that we'll see De La Rosa shine, is getting the takedowns and really doing some good damage from on top. She has a solid cardio. She has a solid gas tank as well, especially now working up there in team elevation. I think they're definitely going to have her prepared and ready to go for a hard 3 rounds if required. Now, obviously, the concern also here will be the potential jiu-jitsu game of Bueno Silva, right? She has a ton of submission victories, and if De La Rosa wants to get this fight to the ground, she's going to have to really mind her P's and Q's in terms of making sure that she doesn't get caught in a submission. Now, the only submission loss on De La Rosa's record is Mackenzie Dern. So that's not really too bad. She's managed to survive on the ground against other women as well too that are pretty good with their jiu-jitsu game. But to the level of Bueno Silva, it's hard to tell at this point in time. Jillian Robertson's solid jiu-jitsu player herself too, but always or more often than not overextended herself at times just to get the finish. And then unfortunately for her, she gets gets finished as well. Mara Romero Barella, she did get submitted by Courtney Casey not too long before that. So, seeing the women that Bueno Silva is able to submit, obviously it's a little bit of an advantage for De La Rosa, knowing that she's survived against some solid women on the ground, and the only person to tap her to this point is Mackenzie Dern. So yeah, I do lean with the dog odds on De La Rosa here, and I've backed her in a ton of her fights. I'm pretty sure she was a lock of the night play for me against Kasem and Barella, and then I did have her on at dog odds against Leon Araujo. But this seems like another solid spot that she should be able to take advantage of the lack of takedown defense on Bueno Silva's part. I think that with her having the size advantage, 1 inch height advantage, as well as a inch and a half reach advantage, and again working with the guys over there at Team Elevation, they're only going to get her game even better and better. So I truly believe that we'll see her on a time and time basis get Bueno Silva down, do some good work from on top, and we saw Morose truly successful with that, and I think we'll see De La Rosa successful as well too. I assume that this line might get wider and wider, as I do believe that there is some love out there on Bueno Silva, but I do think that De La Rosa wins this fight. I think she just gets it down, rides the top position out, stays out of the submissions, and again in that third round, if she's not able to get the takedowns, I think she has good enough durability to at least survive it, a la Marina Moroz in that fight as well too. So I'll go with the De La Rosa side of things here. I do think she'll have the advantage in terms of the power, the wrestling, the durability as well too. I'd kind of be surprised if we see Bueno Silva finish her with strikes. There is obviously the slight possibility that she can pull off a submission off of her back too, but I think we'll see De La Rosa play this out very, very safe. So I'll go with De La Rosa. And one more thing, sorry, I do want to talk about the improvements that we have been seeing from De La Rosa in terms of her striking. It's a lot better than when she was coming off the Ultimate Fighter. It's a lot better than that we've been seeing over the last 5 fights or so, and it definitely showed through in the Viviane Araujo fight. Again, she was getting pieced up by the much crisper and much better striker, but she was making a good account of herself, and I believe that she should be able to show some of that against Bueno Silva here as well too. And if you guys remember, she rocked and dropped Mara Romero Barella in the last round of their fight as well too, which ultimately allowed her to just ride out that fight from on top. She was quite offensive from the top as well too, in terms of landing good shots and even seeking submissions at times, but she was playing it very safe as well too in terms of getting position over submission, and I think that's going to be very key for her here against Bueno Silva in terms of not overextending herself, and I think she'll do a very good job of that. We're pretty much seeing her grow up in front of our eyes, right? She's 26 years old now, just turned 26, and she's been in the UFC for several years now, so I think we're going to see a progression in this fighter's career and seeing her get better and better. And again, switching camps to Team Elevations before that Viviane Araujo fight was nothing but solid for her, and I think it's going to work out very, very well for her in this fight against Bueno Silva, and I think she'll come out on top as the underdog. So once again, I'll go with Montana De La Rosa to win this fight via decision.